Okay, so this is the first time that I've jumped into the PTE. Um, I haven't looked at this before, and however, one thing that I did do when I was waiting for this to basically install the PTE build was I looked through the PTE document, the one that I looked through last week, and I noticed there was a couple of changes. For one, while they're talking about the ATGM price increase, I noticed that they added the Spike SR. I also noticed that the Ranger quantity went, instead of dropping it down to 4, they've instead dropped it down to 6. Green Beret Punishers is slightly cheaper at 65 instead of the listed 70. And was that it? There might have been one or two other things, but I don't think I don't look. There's someone out there who's probably going to claim that it was done maliciously. I don't think that. I honestly don't. But anyway, we're here for the PTE. So the PTE. Okay. This ought to be interesting to at least look at. And you can already see some of the price changes that they've made. For example, this is now 40 instead of 20. Which is like, what was that, 140 to 135 compared to 115? I suppose that's kind of fair, because you can't get 6 of these. One thing, however, that I'm thinking... Actually, one thing I want to do. Did they keep my decks? Oh, they did. And, oh... Okay, they have largely banned Jax the deck. What do they do to Air Mobile? Air Mobile is more expensive. Well, I'm over in the support tab. That's probably due to artillery. I'm very over in the vehicle tab. What about this? Oh, I'm only 20 points over. And that's mostly in the vehicle tab. Huh. They didn't touch the cost for the C-17s or the, Actually, no, they did touch the aircraft cost is a lot lower. But the quantity is the same. Okay, that is very interesting. That one's not too bad. Actually, so why is this one yelling at me? Because that one is not too bad. I'm not over in any category. And I'm under by 110 points, so... Okay, well, I'm over in this category. Same here, same here. Okay. Oh, that one's significantly cheaper. I just need like 5 more points. They changed the pricing for some of those aircraft. I know they did. Oh, 245 points. And it's mostly in support and vehicle. Yeah, if this update does actually go live on the main server, I'm gonna need to completely redo my decks, as I assume everyone will. Okay, well that's cheaper. Somewhere. Aircraft, I think. Oh, that support tab is really going to need to be adjusted. What was this? Oh, I remember these. This, I think, was it? Yeah, this was my, this was a bit of a thought. These three were all a bit of a thought exercise on how would I defend H point on Baltisk specifically, if I had to make a deck specifically to do that. Okay. Hmm. That is 100 points short. Okay. That's 80 points short. Also, that is a lot of air defense and not much else. Anyway, let's look at the units. And I think we're going to start with yes, they gave that an extra missile. Oh yes, these guys with their larger squads. Hmm. 0.75, 1.25, 0.3, 1. Oh, okay, so that's a lot more information. Low altitude damage, dispersion, blast radius, penetration. At least it seems like a lot more information. Or you can go with a standoff. Which gets you one of these. Which is basically just a reloadable RPG-27, near as I can tell. Alright. Well, that's certainly interesting. They also shoved... Oh, they added... they brought the number of shotguns back up to 4. Well, that's gonna make someone happy. I remember seeing a lot of people complain when they moved these guys over to mech. Oh, they dropped the number of shotguns down. I still think they should take and just unify the squad size for all Russian specializations except for VDV, just unify the squad size up to 8, the same they did with Airborne in the U.S. Just unify the squad size up to 8, and then up the vehicle seating capacity accordingly. And even without this change, you could have still given these guys their 4 shotguns. Four rifles is nice. Oh yes, they also buffed the rifle range. I remember. Or you can give them some... Oh, they get 2 rocket launchers. I can't remember if they got 2 in the base game. I thought they only got 1 in the base game. Oh, that goes out to 600 meters now. .3. Oh, it's only 5 points. 1.25. Slightly cheaper, but longer ranged. Oh yes, and we have the return to deck time 0.33. Is that mean that's 33 seconds or 5 minutes? Okay, that's kind of confusing. Melts. They have buffed the range of the melts, so it isn't completely garbage. Actually, that's a point. Where is guards? 514. Regular Sturmoviki. 511. Okay. .30mm. Alright. Igla. Cornet. .718, 34, 724, 36. PKMs. Melts now has... Yeah, I think that's a slightly longer range. Or you can go with Melts M1. Okay. Much more DPS. I will note that. Much more DPS. Oh, and they've limited the high altitude range on these as well. Okay, I thought they just did that with anti-aircraft guns. Did I not notice that with the Igla? Yeah, I completely missed that with the Igla. Okay. This is motorized, I believe. Yes, this is motorized. Okay. Cornet. Oh, wow, that jumps significantly when you upgrade to the Cornet M. It didn't jump that significantly over here, did it? No. Okay. Hmm. Again, a significant jump there. The rifle stats don't change much. They got these, which are larger. Okay. What's that, a light machine gun? I think so. Oh, so that must be total DPS. Because over here, the AK-15... No. No, I'm just dumb. Alright. Okay. Flashbangs, effective range damage. Or you have standoff. PKP. A sniper rifle. Okay. Or Cornet M with the thermobarics. Alright. Coastal. I already looked at those guys. I already looked at those guys. Huh. Conkers. Nothing super special there, I don't think. Or we can go with Conkers M. SPG 9. And then we're on to mech. And no, they did not. They did not unify the squad size. 1, 2, okay, yeah, no. That is 7. Incendiary. Or larger thermobarics. Okay. Pair of cords. Hang on, 1.25. What is PTE? Alright, so it's not collective across the DPS, it's for each weapon, not collectively. Because if it was collectively, then the DPS here should be 2.5. Oh, that's interesting. It defaults to the cord now. Huh. Okay. The RPG-29, which I believe I already looked at. Small, which they made cheaper, I think. No, they made this slightly more expensive. I'm dumb. Slightly longer range, though, which is nice. Could turn it into a sort of quasi-Moz team. The Syrahs are now cheaper, which I really like. I would still like to see an AT, a top attack, anti-tank version of these for like 20 more points. M2 Browning, Dragon, slightly longer range. Did the Dragon always do 12 damage? I thought it did less. Huh. Okay, and that's cheaper. And okay, so they did change the M27's range to 600 meters. All right. And with the Javelin, nothing appears to have changed much here except for the missile cost. They've brought down the cost for these ATGM teams, I've noticed. And I like. 12 of those, 4 of those, 2 of those. Oh, these guys are gonna be fun. What about with the basic Marines? Yeah. Yep. Now, I'll admit, when I initially looked at the oh, that shoots up to 600 meters as well. Okay, that's interesting. I'll admit, when I originally looked at the range figures for the M27, with it going out to 600 meter range, I either completely forgot or hadn't noticed that they were buffing up the range of all the other rifles to 500 meters. So I was literally thinking of it as like a 50% jump in weapon range instead of a 25. But still, even if it's only a 25, this is gonna be fun. Especially these guys. These guys are gonna be dumb, like the good kind of dumb. Mech engineers, slightly more expensive. Small. Although now that I think about it, well, hang on, I was completely ignoring the prices for these. Huh. That's more than a 2-minute jump. Okay. That shouldn't change the timer at all. Unless the return to deck time is added to the timer. Which would be kind of interesting if it is. Anyway, what I was getting at was, with the slightly longer rifle range, adds a bit more of a... what's the word I'm looking for? Difference, for lack of a better term, with, there's more of a gap in between the maximum rifle range and maximum shotgun range. So, instead of the shotgun range only being 50% of the rifle range, it's now only 40%. It's probably not going to mean very much, but I just thought it's kind of interesting. Did they give these guys one more AT4? I think they did, because I thought they only had 4. Oh, and the M249. These now shoot out to 600 meters, I'm noticing. Okay. Mech Rifleman AA. Mech MMGs. 1.3. That's a point. 1.3 versus 1. And they have adjusted the penetration. Huh. Oh, and they brought these guys down. So now the mech rifleman MMGs and the regular mech rifleman are the same cost. NGSW, the M7 Spear. 1.4. 1.3. 1.4. Oh, I've seen what you've done here. So, what makes Airborne special is basically that they get fancy guns. Because, to be entirely honest, one of the things that made Airborne very, well, special, for lack of a better word, is that they get longer range guns. I remember back in, I think it was update 1.0.10, they buffed the damage on the Rangers M4s, and when they explained why, they specifically highlighted the difference between the Rangers and the Airborne NGSW. And when I made my video about that, I believe I made a comment saying something to the effect that if they wanted to close the power gap between the two, the answer would basically be to look at the weapon range. And the reason why was because back then the M7 Spear had a 50% longer weapon range than the Rangers M4. Now, they did crank the damage all the way up on the Rangers M4, and granted, I don't use Rangers very much, and I certainly don't play multiplayer, but apparently that helped. So, the developers obviously know what they're doing. But the reason why I made my comment is if you're going to look at the difference between Airborne and Rangers, the reason why Airborne is powerful is because they get long range rifles. They basically get fancy guns, quote unquote. And with Marines, they're kind of treating the M27 the exact same way they're treating the M7 Spear. Especially when you think about the penetration values. Now, personally, I would up the penetration values for the M7 to the same for the M240. Because that's what the 6.8 millimeter round is designed to do. It's like, I think it's like 3 grains lighter than a 7.62 by 51 millimeter round. And yet it's moving at about the same velocity as a 5.56, which for reference, 5.56, and it differs with different barrel lengths and different cartridges and different bullet weights. But 5.56 usually leaves the barrel on average around 3,000 feet per second. 7.62, well, that is 7.62 by 51 NATO, around 24 to 2,600 feet per second. The 6.8 by 51 millimeter that the M7 fires weighs, I think it's like 3 to 5 grains less. The bullet weight is just slightly less than 7.62, but it's leaving the barrel at about the same velocity as 5.56. And the whole idea behind it was that it's supposed to penetrate body armor at range. So I would like to see that penetration figure upped just to keep with that. Oh, they raised the price on Airborne as well. But like I said, I'd like to see the penetration figure raised slightly. 1.1. That is more than the M249, I think. Yes. Also, these guys can now fire these on the move, which is nice. Rate of fire 65. Rate of fire 45. Huh. I only now just noticed that they have a rate of fire. That's 85. That's 85. I just now noticed that they have a rate of fire figure. That's 85. 25. $10. Okay. And Moz. I mean, Moz is Moz. I don't think this has changed at all. Or you can go down to the standard, the M4 Mod 2. Same damage. Less range, same pen. M249 Para, which does more damage. Which... No, aside from the penetration values. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Because the M250 is literally designed to shoot the same round as the M7, and yet it has higher penetration values. I mean, I know it's a game, and they're obviously taking... they're obviously making decisions for the sake of game balance and stuff, but I don't know. I just, for consistency's sake, I want to see the penetration increased for consistency's sake. I mean, heck, I'd even be okay if you upped the price by an extra 5 points. M2 Browning. And I know I said this back in a video, I know I said this in a video back in November, but I kind of wish we had an option for like 5 points or so, just to give these guys M7s as well. It would probably be completely pointless, and I doubt anyone would actually do it, but it would be kind of nice. 55. 370. Okay then. Noted. Stinger teams. And again, a significant jump there. Weapon squads. Striker Cav. 1.8. Okay, that's different. That's different from the, I think it's like 2.15 that these guys had for their shotguns. Yeah. I mean, it's a different type of shotgun, so. These guys, did I? I did. No, that's not surprising. And then troopers. M249, M240. Okay. Nothing special there. Still only have 2 missiles. Single M240. SOCOM, then we have Delta. And the Flashbangs, standoff, that's 600 as well. That's also 600, that's also 600. Okay. Alright, well, they basically nerfed Delta. They nerfed the range here, which is basically just a nerf to Delta. Which is kind of funny, because I didn't think Delta was causing much of a problem. I don't know of anyone who ran Standoff Delta. I mean, everyone always talks about how the door kicking option is great for clearing rooms, and it is, but I haven't seen anyone talking about Standoff Delta. On the upside, though, they do appear to have cut the cost down slightly, which is nice. Rangers, and oh, you can definitely see the cranked damage. .25, 7.5, and yes, this is another thing that they actually mentioned in the when I was looking through the PTE document while I was waiting for the beta to load. Was they dropped the ignore cover percentage down for DMRs. It was 50 and now it's 25. Which, okay. And then you also have the CQC loadout, and you know, they upped the price too. The 100% upkeep. Rangers used to be 80. Okay. And then we have the Baltics. Their special forces. You know, the longer range for the machine guns kind of makes sense, even though it's shooting 5.56, because there is a such thing as accuracy by volume. So, I kind of find that funny. Actually, that's a point. Oh, I completely forgot to... Oh, and Rangers are more expensive than most other squads. They have a longer respawn time. Mark 47. 1.8. Okay, so it's slightly less damage. Oh, okay. Raws. Or Carl Gustav, which doesn't appear to affect that all that much. Stingers. That actually does slightly more damage than the M2 Browning for the same range, but it has less pen. Okay. Or you can go with the Javelin with the lightweight clue. 150. Is that the same as the regular Javelin? I don't think it is. No, it is. I thought the regular Javelin was 100. Okay. And I don't think they changed these guys very much. So, the Benelli M4, which is basically just an M1014, but, well, it's the original name for the M1014, if I'm not mistaken. The M1014 is the US designation for it. I mean, it's the same model, so. the mini-me. Okay. And flashbangs. What about this? What do we have? Okay. And oh! Alright, so they've increased the range for these. Alright, well I can't exactly complain. And oh, they've unified the cost for these, I think. I'm pretty sure they unified the cost for these. Well, kind of, but I thought there was like one which was 65, one which was 70, and then one which was 80. So the M3 Gustav, which is basically just the same as the Raws. Okay. And oh yes, they've upped the price for these guys. Machine gun. And to be 300 with anti-infantry use. That's probably why they upped the price for these guys. They've dropped these guys down by 15 points. They did up the firing range on their rifles, which I think is kind of interesting. And the firing range on the A2 Law, which again I think is kind of interesting. And then these guys are awesome. Alright. Gustav M2. So there's no difference between the G36K V3 and the G36K A4. Noted. 1.85. I mean, the GMG is basically not exactly, but it's basically a Mark 19 clone. At least as far as the game stats are concerned. Milan. Okay, well they haven't changed much here. Except I think the supply weight. Javelin. Nothing changed there. Spike. Nothing changed there. Not even the timer went up very much. The pull run, they dropped the damage down, and the pen. Aside from that, it's basically a Verba clone. Verba does 8, doesn't it? Where's Verba? There's Verba. Yes. And most Stingers do 8. Yes. So, it's... okay. The RBS 70. Huh. They did not change the high altitude range. I suspect that's a bug. I suspect that's just something that they forgot to do. Or the pair of Groms. And oh, they didn't change the high altitude. Yeah, they forgot. That's a mix up. Or not mix up. That's a mess up. I'm pretty sure they forgot for the these two. All right, and recon infantry. Oh, they upped the range in the VSS. Okay. Snipers. Oh, and they forgot to change the damage calculation for that. Or not? Hang on. Infantry. Where is SSO? Huh. Okay. So they didn't do the DPS calculation for sniper rifles. What's this? Sneak. Maintain constant cover bonus when not spotted at the cost of movement speed. Cover bonus. So... I'm assuming what that means is, like, if you're in a bush... If you're in a bush, you can maintain that cover bonus from being in the bush. Alright. They've also dropped the range of that down slightly. Okay, so they made this the base loadout. Huh. Alright. I'll check out the vehicles later. Oh, they made this cheaper. RPG 28s and a Verba. Or just 2 Verbas. Or the RPG 28s. Okay, well that's a significantly easier cost to swallow than 145 points. I'm guessing the range is shorter because that's supposed to be suppressed. Also, one of these guys was wearing a cowboy hat. .9 DPS. Oh. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And you can still airdrop them. Okay. Spetsnaz, VMF. With the ADS. Does good damage. Grenade launcher. 0.55. Okay, the grenade launcher does very good damage. With a faster rate of fire. Okay. The bullpup PKPs, which I don't understand why, but okay. And the SVUs. And then you also have this loadout, which, again, is significantly easier to swallow, price-wise. 600, 1200. Oh, okay. And they have lost their PKM. But I'm pretty sure they're cheaper. Honestly, it's a recon team. If these guys ever fire their weapons, something's probably gone sideways. You bring these guys purely for what they can see. SVD, SV98. Or you can go with that. Okay. Alright, so they've upped the price of the Force Recon. But they've given them M27s. I don't think they had M27s before. I could be wrong, but I don't think they had M27s before. These guys. I honestly don't think there is much different here. And I honestly don't think there is much different here. Scouts, I think they get one more AT4. Aside from that, I'm not sure. I don't think there's much difference there. And then we have these guys, and they are significantly cheaper. And the XM25 does fire further, I think. Was it 600? I think it was only 400. So that's honestly a nice change. They have sneak, which is kind of interesting that they have sneak. Okay. Huh. Or you can bring for 120. You know, it occurs to me these two are basically the same now. Except this has slightly more pen. Slightly more. The penetration range, the lower end is slightly higher. That's pretty much it. Huh. Alright. Oh, wait. Or you can go with an STT. No. RC. And they still have these, which is funny. Scar H. Mark 48. And Demoz. And then we have Ranger Snipers. So is the number of attacks really that significant? Huh. Oh, but they're now significantly cheaper, which is nice. SC Scouts. Oh, they got one more Spike SR because they only had 3. Okay. for Carl Gustav. And then you have these guys which are kitted for door kicking. Okay. KNT with their MP5s, which have a slightly long 400 meters for. Okay, well that's optimistic for a 9mm. And honestly, all those penetration values are optimistic for 9mm, to be entirely brutally honest. They do get sneak as well. Snipers with a big boy rifle. Or more snipers. 1,000, 1,100. That's not too bad, all things considered. Okay, so first impressions here, I am not sold on the whole sneak ability and the slight stealth reduction. I mean, I haven't played around with it at all, but I don't know. I am not sold on it. That's just me personally, but I am not sold on it. Okay, well let's see what they've done to vehicles. I honestly don't think this thing has changed at all. Well, except for the increased stealth value. And I think the price has gone down, actually. Mortar. What's this? Fire an expensive enough... Fires at expensive enough groups of spotted enemy units. Okay, so there's a cost curve to this. So it's not going to start slinging mortar rounds at anything. It's got to be expensive enough. That's interesting. I wonder if you could still tell it to shoot. I wonder if you could still tell it to shoot normally. I assume you can. I don't understand why you wouldn't be able to. Mostly HE or mostly smoke. Well, actually, no, it's all HE or mostly smoke. Okay. And then the Nona. Which is just cluster or 120mm. Salvo length, 3, 6. Okay, so they show that there, which is nice. Or the SM. For the longer range, the smoke, and slightly reduced reload time. Damage 3. Did they up that damage value? I do not know. They might have upped that damage value. Also, I have a nagging suspicion that if you're using this, something has gone slightly sideways. BMT2, I don't think anything... Oh, what's this? Oh, right. Target infantry, 2,500, 250 kilograms of ammunition plus healing. Okay. So that's interesting. Smoke launchers, you can throw smoke pods on. You can go with Conkers. Or you could go with some Cornet M's, which To be fair, Cornet M's for a 45 to 55 point vehicle is not bad. And they just like bolt the smoke launchers to the top of the turret. Do those change depending on a? No, they don't change depending on ATGM placement. Okay, fine. It honestly looks like you could fit another launcher on the other side of the turret. I don't think much has changed here. Oh, except that's gone down. But that's that. Okay, so that's a 2A72, and that's a 2A42. Okay. Rate of fire 260. Rate of fire 155. Because the 2A72 autocannon is basically a 2A42, but it's been simplified with fewer moving parts. It's generally considered an upgrade over the 2A42. The only downside is that it has a slow rate of fire. And all of this, I mean, like, in real life. The 2A72 is basically just a 2A42 that's been simplified with fewer moving parts, but has a slower rate of fire. That is reflected here in game, which I think is a very nice touch. Rate of fire 405. BTRD. Or you can tack that on for an extra 10 points. In place of the stupid positions. The stupid machine gun mountings. No, I'm not going to let that go. We got rid of ball-mounted machine guns in like the 1950s. It's dumb. It is incredibly dumb. Huh. And then this thing with the Coronet and the machine guns that I'm trying very, very, very hard not to pay any attention to. Or the Coronet M. Okay, that's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. You know, it occurs to me, using drones is going to be a whole lot easier around these things, since they've neutered the range for, what are the legs sitting on? Are those just, like, concrete cylinders? Giant food cans? I don't know. But anyway, what I was getting at was, it occurred to me that... I'm sorry, but you can see where they've just taken the axles where the wheels are supposed to go, and they've just unbolted the wheels off the axles when they welded it to the top of the vehicle. Oh. Oh, you can see that they've done the same thing over here. Good grief. Oh, this is such a jerry-rigged job. I don't even think you can fire the smoke grenade launchers without the smoke grenade smacking the back of the anti-aircraft gun. Oh, this is so jerry-rigged, and it's so hilarious. Anyway, what I'm getting at is using drones around these things is going to be a whole lot easier since they've neutered the high-altitude range for pretty much all of this. Particularly the missiles. Basic supply truck. I don't think anything has changed over here. With the Coronet M's. You can throw an armor package on. I'm pretty sure this has not changed at all. This hasn't changed at all either. So. Sprut, I already looked at how the sprut's changed. And this thing actually had its stealth reduced. Okay. And I think they made it slightly cheaper, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. Artillery and actually, you know what? I know I kind of looked at the artillery for the VDV, but we'll take a look at the artillery later. For most of this, I don't think most has changed. I just think that they've basically added this. APS. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. They've cut the price down for this, which is nice. And they've also cut the price down on the Kinzel module, which, again, I think is kind of nice. And I think they've dropped the reload time for this thing down 5 to 6. What's that on the T90? 7, 8. Okay. But I don't think they've done anything with the ammunition. Well, except for raise the damage, but that's like tank wide, so there's nothing especially out of the ordinary there. And no, they did not. Okay, they did not change the armor values. I thought for a second they did. Can throw on some reactive armor. I love how the tanks still have the 1.25 stealth value. Optics. Cord. BRDM3. Honestly, I think this thing could still use the 1.25 stealth value. BTR 82. Up armor it. You can give it a very weird looking turret. If I'm gonna be entirely honest. 2A42. 272. Huh. And you get the 2A42. Interesting. Okay, that's still the 2A72. The boomerang. I'm pretty sure all of this is basically the same. I'm pretty sure. Coastal, this thing, which is now stealthier. Did they cut the price down on this thing? Yes, I think they dropped the price down on this thing by 5 points. Okay. I don't think they touched the penetration value for any of the shells, but I think they dropped the price down by like 5 points. I think. I'm not sure. Still can't use this thing on the move. BMP3F. ATGM carrier. Again, I don't think most of this changed. I don't think most of this, honestly, I don't think most of this changed. And if I sat here and tried to look through every single vehicle, I'd be here for like 3 hours. So, is that the base price? Yeah, okay, so that's the base price. Okay, well that hasn't changed. Or that. This is what, 130 fully upgraded, I believe? Yes. Airborne. They did up the price for this thing. So that's now 190 instead of 160. Which honestly, that's kind of fair because the gun on the M8 was strong. Honestly though, I kind of prefer that instead of upping the gun price, they just gave it the A3 AP instead of the A4. But that's just me. Sheridan, I don't think anything has changed here. Correction, I think they cranked the damage up on the Sheridan. 14, 15. It didn't used to be that high, did it? I don't think so. Or you can go with the Shillelagh, which... I wonder if the Shillelagh can be fired on the move. Actually, you know, I passed Marine Corps. Where is this thing? I don't think they've changed too much. But... okay, so I don't think they've changed this gun at all. Which is a bit sad, although I think they've brought the reload time down, which could be fun. Striker Cav. I've seen some people claim that they've nerfed the 50mm on the Booker. And I'm not sure how. Because compared to the 105... although, now that they've upped the damage, I think that's going to make the Lex of the 105 a lot more competitive. Excuse me, good grief. Oh, that's only ever been able to intercept 2 things, not 4. Okay. Actually, that's a point. Where's the 2? Alright, I thought it was 4. Oh. I actually really thought it was 4. The Guardian, I honestly don't think much has changed here. No, there hasn't been anything that's changed here. Huh. Okay. Strikers. Actually, where's the Hemet? Okay, the Hemet doesn't have that ability. I'm pretty sure none of this has changed. 2.25. Where's the M113? There's the M113. 0.4, because I thought it was 0.25 or 0.4 and then 0.8 for certain vehicles. Nope, nothing there has changed from the looks of it. Striker RV. They didn't really change this thing, they just brought the stealth down slightly. That's like a 20% reduction. At 1.25 stealth value is a 20% reduction in the view range of anything looking at you. MGS. Okay, well they made the MGS funner. They also dropped the aim time down for these, I noticed. Which is another change in the PTE document that I saw, was that they mentioned that they, if memory serves, in the original version of the document, the one I made a video about last week, they mentioned that they brought the aim time for vehicle-mounted grenade launchers and such down to to 1 to 2 seconds. Well, when I was looking at it earlier today, I noticed that they brought the heavy and medium machine guns down to 1 second. Where is airborne? Where is... No. This is what I'm looking for. $12.75. Oh, boo, and they dropped the minigun range down. Mutter, mutter, grumble, curse. Even if the damage per second was kind of nuts. Where's Marine Corps? Is that a common thing? Yes, yes it is. Boo, hiss, etc. I wanted minigun go burr. Literally, minigun go burr. Bushmaster. I'm pretty sure they haven't changed anything with all this. Anyway, SOCOM. There's not much to talk about with SOCOM, in all honesty. Well, what I mean by that is they don't have a lot of vehicles. Hang on. Okay, short of the blast radius, what's the point of taking the GAU-19? Oh, okay, slightly higher DPS. Slightly higher DPS. The War Pig. M2 Browning, Mark 47, the Fletcher launcher. Yes, that can target aircraft. I have tested it. It's completely useless. I'm not kidding. I have had an SU-27 circling straight over the War Pig, and it is completely useless. I mean, heck, I think it took a majority, or I think it took like 12 shots to bring down one helicopter. When I tested it, so it's, again, it's basically pointless. Oh, okay, so this is one of those transports that has 800 kilograms. Alright. That's like the only one that I know of. I do not think there's any other transport vehicle. Except for maybe the ISV? No, not even the ISV. And these don't have it. Which kind of makes, I mean, it makes sense that you think they would. No. Or what I mean is you think that the supply vehicles would have supplies, but they don't. No. 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 It's not even armament dependent. Okay. And then we have the Baltics with the CV-90. And I honestly think that is 1.8. 1.8. Where is 1.55? Huh. Okay. Spike LR, you only get 2 of them. And then you get the armor package, but as I already mentioned, they nerfed the protection value. The G-Wagon with the Milan, or with Mapats, or with Spike. Okay. Basic Humvee, I'm not sure what there is to talk about here. Okay, actually, you know what? One thing that I noticed is that if the basic Baltic Humvee, or if the basic Humvee and the Baltic Specialization has smoke, can we get an option to put smoke on this thing? Please? Like, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, it can be the 5-point smoke pods. It doesn't have to be free, just give us an option to put the smoke on the basic Humvee. I mean, heck, it could even be 10 points. I don't know, I just think it's kind of weird that the only Humvee offering that can't mount smoke in some form or another is this one. Because all the other Humvees can mount smoke. Actually, that's a point. Does this thing have smoke? This thing has smoke. Okay. I don't think this has changed very much, except for the increased shell damage, which every tank has. 113, no. Artillery, which we will get to later. Scimitar, Spartan. PRCV. Vilcus. Okay, so nothing has changed. Really, nothing has changed. Alright. Okay, so now we're on to the support tab. I already looked at VDV, so I don't care. Mazda. Well, this thing's immediately cheaper, and it has both cluster and smoke. And oh yes, they've also upped the artillery range. I think they upped it in general about like 500 meters, they said. Okay, so... I wonder why they're treating cluster like a secondary type of ammunition like smoke. Is it just not that useful? And oh! Okay. For a shorter reload time... No increase in accuracy, but you get smoke and you get Krasnopol. Alright. I think that price might be a little bit overtuned. Savannah with basic HE, smoke, and then heat, which is kind of weird because it has a 50 caliber. Or at 7.62. Or an extended range version with guided rounds, or more heat. Okay. The Coalitzia, 260 base. Well, long range, I'll give it that. Oh boy. 330, good grief for a howitzer. Okay. The Book M2. Oh, look how they've neutered that range. Radar. So that's what? 56 high altitude range? No. 46. That's a 40... Okay. The Book M3, that goes out to 5. The stupid thing. Okay, well, it's a lot less stupid against aircraft now. Still kind of stupid, but less stupid. And then with the missiles, and oh, they have not changed this. Okay. Again, I suspect that's probably something that they just forgot to do. Tor. Oh, they haven't changed the range either. Why is that so high? Is that intentional? I mean, okay, so maybe it is intentional, the change, the ranges, then. Maybe. Although, it's nice that we have salvo length here. But this kind of reinforces what I was thinking of when I said that conventional artillery was rockets. So. And they appear to have significantly brought the price down for the toss. Okay. Motorized this thing. Oh, okay. They did not change the vehicle speed. So if I throw that, okay. This thing used to be in coastal, and in coastal, the BTR 80 can only make 80 kilometers an hour, and it can only make it 70 if you throw the armor package on. Meanwhile, the BTR 82s in motorized can make 100 kilometers an hour regardless of whether they have the armor package or not. Pretty sure I don't need that. What do we have? HE, basic HE, and some smoke. Or we can go with extended range with laser guided. Alright. What is cheaper? The Grad, which is also cheaper. Long range. Accuracy is non-existent. Or you can go with smoke. You can go with cluster. Or you can go with incendiary, because yay, fire. Smirch. Interesting, the salvo length, because in the document, I thought they said it was going to be 25% and then 50% and or the entire ammunition load, which 25% should only be 3 rockets instead of 4. I noticed the same thing with the toss here, because technically 25% of those should be like 7 or 8 rockets. Long range, okay, that's not. Yeah, okay, no, that's. Yeah, I think that had 5,000 meters last time. Or you can go with 6,100. Okay. And again, they didn't bring down the range here. Stabilized version cannot target cruise missiles. Huh. The S300, 19. Oh, that's only 64. That's only 68. Tochka gets more range, which is nice. Or cluster. The 2S1 has basic HE or heat, or you can convert it into a mortar, which has a significantly shorter range. Okay. like a significantly shorter range. And honestly, I think I'll just take the basic 2S1. Long range HE plus laser guided, or just a crap ton of cluster. Iskander. Alright. So they've made the range for the cruise missiles the same. Or the range between the ballistic missiles and the cruise missiles the same. Interesting enough, they've also made the damage the same. And the pattern. I'm assuming the warhead's supposed to be the same? Don't know. The Bareg, 4,300. Or the S. Oh, that can target aircraft now. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Alright. Tor. Huh. They've unified the low altitude and high altitude range on pants here, but it can still engage helicopters. So are they treating it kind of like kind of like a gap between a SHORAD and a HIMAD? $25, 28. That's 56. That's. Also, the high altitude range is still 1,300. Okay, I think that might be an accident. Tunguska. Okay, well, there's definitely more of a distinction between the missiles there. You see, this I don't think is an accident. I'm starting to think this isn't an accident. But I'm pretty sure this is an accident. Also, is this price different? I'm not sure. I'll have to check later. And then Pantsir. And again with the missile range. Okay. The 2S3 just with smoke or heat. I mean, to be fair, heat hits pretty hard. Although I wouldn't want to be in a position where I have to shoot it. The M2 gets HE or heat. Yeah. The Tulpan 240. Or some guided 240. Or the 2S5, which they made significantly more expensive. Mainly because they gave it that. And Krasnopol. And they've also cranked the price up on this thing, but longer range, and they've actually made it more accurate. And, oh, you can get an extended range option, because of course you can. Oh, this is dumb. It's funny, but it's dumb. And I don't think this has changed much. I'm pretty sure that hasn't changed much. If memory serves, Igla was a development of Strela. And one of the big differences between Strela 1 and Strela 10 was that Strela 10, the range wasn't much different between the two. But Strela 10 had a larger warhead, a different guidance system, and I think was more accurate. But again, the range wasn't all that much different between the two. An 82mm mortar with HE and smoke. And then that's just straight HE. Okay, that's 6. That's 7.2. Big missile tubes. Click. Well, they brought the damage down slightly, but the range hasn't gone up at all, which is mildly disappointing. Same there. I'm pretty sure that's no different. The LAVAD, which I think I already looked at. Pretty sure I already looked at. Hydropod. Oh, the hydropod can engage helicopters. I'm now wondering if it could do that before. I think it could do that before. LAVL. LAVM. Or you can go with Dragonfire, which has a significantly longer range and guided rounds. And isn't crazy, stupid expensive. So, LVSR, that I think I already looked at, and then the Patriots. And, okay. Or I can go with 4 of them. Basic HE, smoke, or just a ton of smoke. The A6 Paladin, 160 for some basic HE, some smoke, and laser guided Copperhead. Well, I think Copperhead's laser guided by default, so that statement's pointless. Okay. Or you can go with Cluster, which is just smoke and, well, cluster. The A7, 270, that is ridiculously expensive. I mean, okay, you've got laser guided from the get-go, but that's still ridiculously expensive. And, okay, it's long range, but again, expensive. Iron Thunder just gets laser guided. This thing... $69 HE. Huh. Okay. And then you get guided rounds, which don't have any bonus to range, which is kind of sucky, but okay. PVADs. Nothing changes there. MLRS. Cluster or ATACMs. Okay, well that's, and then the M270A2. Cluster. Prism. M548, and then the linebacker, which I'm pretty sure, once again, nothing has changed. I know this has a high altitude range listed, but this thing can't target aircraft. And since this gun can't target aircraft, this configuration cannot target fixed-wing aircraft at all. Pack 3. Okay. That's 1,500, or that's 5,000. Way more missiles. Airborne. Well, okay, they didn't even bring the price in this thing down at all. And then this, with very long range, or okay, so good range, I'll give it that. Or you can go with guided extended range. Okay. Hawkeye. And, oh, okay, so you can, alright, that's pretty solid, I'll give it that. LMTV, MTV, Slam Ram! And they didn't even bother unifying the ranges anymore. That kind of sucks. Huh. C-Ram. Or C-Ram. Hammett plus HIMARS. Okay, well they haven't done much to change the price for a lot of the MRLs, I've noticed. Or a lot of the SAMs, either. Mortar carrier, mostly HE, mostly smoke, or some guided rounds. Not much in the way of actual, you know, not much in the way of range extensions short of the Dragonfire. And then this thing, 45's not bad. Salvo length 14. Okay. Huh. That's actually a point. Where is some of the other systems? You don't even have 35 rounds of a given type. Huh. Okay. So I guess that didn't just apply to MRLs then. What about the Baltics? Why am I looking at this? There's literally nothing different. And, oh, they have sledgehammered that. Okay. It's like, what? Alright. 230 for some nice extended range. You can even go more extended range for 270, which gives you laser guided. You just have basic HE, or you have nothing but smoke. NASAMS. Okay. PZH 2000, 46. Where you can get an extended range option. Because why not? Basic Unimog. Okay. And then what about helicopters? I don't think they've actually changed much here. They did bring some of the helicopter prices down. Like this thing is now significantly cheaper. Mostly though, it seems to be transport helicopters. $315, $265. That's actually not that bad, all things considered. $245, still not that bad. Or $315. I don't know why you'd go with the 8 Iglas, but that's apparently an option. For 16 Atatkas? Okay. What about this? Okay, that's actually fairly reasonable, I think. Super Cobra. What about the Zuni loadout? Oh, that's nice. Shaves an extra 20 points off of that. 265. 280. I think that's actually a touch more expensive. Okay, there we go. They've changed the price between the Sidewinder and the Sidearm. And they've done that here as well. Have they changed the stats for the Sidearm at all? Okay, well they've nuked the range. I think that was 5,000 Zen meters before. Although I could be wrong, I'll have to check the aircraft version. I might be thinking of the aircraft version. Sidewinder. Okay, so they've given it a bit more high altitude range. Alright. CH-53E. Doesn't change much. CH-53K. I like that they made the transport helicopters cheaper. I'll say that. Osprey, 5 points. Venom. Okay. Apache, this I don't think has changed at all. This I also don't think has changed at all. I like the Hellfires on the inboard pylons. This, I think, has gotten more expensive. I think that's only like 305 last time. That's 3. Or just 270 without. Okay. Or if you load it up like that. That's still 3. That's... That's not great. It's not terrible. And I don't think they've messed with the missile range at all. No, the Hellfires still beat tanks faces in. So. Kiowa, I think they made this slightly more expensive. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they made this slightly more expensive. And the Blackhawk, which I'm pretty sure they made slightly less expensive. SOCOM, the egg. Okay. SOCOM Osprey. Why? What? Yep. Oh, just unify the upgrades, please. It makes no sense. I know I've already gone on a rant about that, so I will save it this time, but... the basic egg. I don't think that's changed at all. The DAP. I think that's like 5 points cheaper. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's 5 points cheaper. The MH60 is a little bit more expensive, I'm guessing because of the extra vision. Silent Hawk is also notably more expensive. Comanche. I'm going to assume that if they make the, if these changes make it to the live version of the game, the base price of the Comanche is going to go up, and the upgrades are not. What's the cost with 4 Hellfires again? Thank you. 265. I thought that was just like 260. $310 if you want to bring all Stingers. Okay. Hey, Zombies Tunes. 280 if you want to bring it like that. And then the Baltic. 55. 75. 80. 85. Okay. Or grenade launchers, because why not? Okay, and then aircraft. They brought the price of that down. Issue 57. There's honestly not too much I want to look at here. Just a couple of things. Mostly over here. So grab the A-10. No ground range. Designation pod.
Return to deck time. I would really like... I'd really like this to be just a touch clearer. Also, I think in one of the videos they showed showing off some of the changes, I think you can do CAS from low altitude now, and I think some of these will now automatically fire at stuff, which, if that's the case, that's very interesting. The Lancer, 800 for that, 500. Okay, so that seems... Alright. Is that slightly cheaper? I don't know if that might be slightly cheaper. I think that's slightly cheaper. That is most definitely cheaper, I know that. Alright, so they made air superiority fighters cheaper. Which is nice. I like that. Although, I have a nagging suspicion that if I started throwing stuff like this on it... 1607... Okay. 390, 350. F16CJ, 345, 320. Okay, so I thought you could bring that down to 315. F16V, F16C, 285. I think they made this slightly cheaper, so I thought it was 290 with this setup. Also, they made this cheaper as well because it would be 330 if you wanted the ECM pod. Although if you went with the Mavericks, 285. Okay, that's still fairly cheap. $315 because it was 300 before. All right. Not sure how much things have changed there. AC 130. Oh, that's pretty quick. If I tack everything on, though, does it stay quick? Actually, it stays pretty quick, all things considered. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this with the zombie scenario would probably make the zombie scenario a lot funner because you'd have the AC 130 more often. B2 with the portable sun. I'm sorry, I love how the ignore cover value is only 50%. Like, you aren't just literally dropping a giant honking fireball and it's only 50%. Okay. Also, I think this has gone down. Wasn't this like 500 before? So they made the mops cheaper. But anyway, what I was saying is that like you are it's a nuclear explosion.
Okay, you would think anything at ground zero would pretty much be completely evaporated, mainly because it would be. So why is the ignore cover value only 50%? Any building at ground zero is going to be atomized. Any building close to ground zero is going to be completely leveled. And then beyond that, unless it's a really sturdy building, it's still going to be completely level.
Oh, okay, so they've actually made this. Alright, so they've adjusted the price for this thing as well. That's what, a 140 base? Versus, what was it? I think it was 100 last time? Okay. And then the F-22. Full AMRAM is 5 points cheaper. And oh, they have dropped the AIM 260 loadout quite a lot. All right, that's nice. So that's like what, 285 base? Alright, so they made that significantly cheaper. I like that. What about this? What happens if I just want to go full AMRAM? 310. Is that the same as what it was? I can't remember. 280. I think that is cheaper. What if I wanted to go with the 2,000 pounders? 390. That is cheaper. Also, hang on. Where is the Joint Strike Missile? There's the Joint Strike Missile. 60 damage, 175, 70. 60 damage, 225, 90. Okay, so the damage is the same. 80 damage, 275. Where is Marine Corps? Actually, speaking of, while I'm here, give me the sidearm.
Okay, so yeah, it was the aircraft launch version range that I was thinking of.
But anyway, the D. 60. Okay. Also, I think they made this slightly cheaper. C-27, which they have significantly made cheaper, which I appreciate. That was my biggest complaint with it before. 125. What was the... I think the most expensive you could get this thing up to was like 155. So that's... Oh no, it's slightly cheaper now, too. Huh.
Okay, so... They made aircraft cheaper across the board, which I kind of like. They made some helicopters cheaper across the board, which I also like. Artillery... I can kind of understand artillery getting a bit more expensive, but I don't know. I might be... There's a lot of things here that I'm not entirely sold on. First and foremost being the air defense changes. I am not at all sold on the air defense changes. Um, main and honestly, really, it it's just the range. I I don't understand why you're going to nuke the range that much, especially since you're already nuking the well, I say nuking, you're already lowering the damage. Uh, how would I fix it? Well, I'd bring the range back up firstly, and then hmm, well, I bring the range back up. I'd keep the lower damage. That's not that big of a deal for me. I don't know. I just don't understand why the range had to be axed so badly. I mean, making planes cheaper, I like. Uh, and there are other changes, like with the anti-overkill system, that I also like, even though I've already explained how I think that should have been fixed, just with allowing us to basically tell a aircraft or a SAM system fire X many missiles at a target. But I don't know. Axing the range like that, it it doesn't make much sense to me. And actually, that's a point. Go to recon. Go to aircraft. Did they change the vision range on these drones? .25. I mean, a Global Hawk is going to be able to spot the SAM. Six. Like 5.4. Global Hawk's going to be able to spot the SAM about the same time the SAM spots, or the SAM can shoot at it. Wait, no, is that right? Because they didn't change the view range on the SAM. They just changed the weapon range. So if the view range is 4, and assuming that goes up to 8 because of the radar, then that's 7 point... No, that's 6.4. Okay, well, they're going to see the Global Hawk far enough out where they're still not going to be able to shoot at it. Okay. .75. That's going to drop that down to... Let me think. That's going to drop that down to... what is it? It's going to be? It's going to be like 4 point... approximately 4.5? 4.4? Somewhere around there? Which means that the RQ-170 is going to be able to spot the SAM about the same distance that the SAM spots it. What's the range on this thing? Okay. Of course, the problem is that you're basically not going to be able to shoot at it. I don't know. I'm not sold on the SAM changes. The artillery changes, I can kind of get behind that, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not too confident about that. What do we get? 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those. Okay. 3 of those, 3, 2. Two. Oh, we get 4 Striker SPHs now. Okay, I kind of like that. We only get 4 Hawkeyes though, which kind of sucks. Uh, 3 of those, 2 of those, 2, 2. Hmm. Four of those, which I think is more than I think you used to only get 3. Two Smirches, 2 Grads, 2 of those, 4 of those, which you used to get 6. And then just combine that with something. I don't know. Sold, I am not. So... what was I doing with... I do not remember what I was doing with VDV, with guard VDV. The artillery changes I can understand. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. The thing that really makes me raise an eyebrow is the range changes to SAMs specifically. That's the one thing I'm not sold on the most. I like the price. I like lowering the prices on various different things. I like that. The artillery changes, they kind of neutered the availability of some systems, like the Hawkeye. That, I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on that. But I understand where they're going with the artillery. I kind of want to see smaller caliber systems get more guns. Because the thing about smaller caliber systems, like the Hawkeye, is why would I take the Hawkeye when I have another system available? I mean, with the way the game is currently, not in the beta, like the regular version, why would I take the Hawkeye when I have the Brutus available? Is kind of my train of thought. So, seeing the Hawkeye stay up to like having 6, I think would be nice, because you have the option of, okay, well, you've got a shorter caliber gun and a shorter range gun, and it doesn't do as much damage once the shell actually hits, but you have you have more guns. And I don't really think there needs to be a cost trade-off there, because what you have is you're going to be spending more points on more guns anyway. In fact, I'm not even sure the range increase would be necessary. I just think that having, or I say that, I mean like for all artillery pieces, um, I just think that having more smaller guns would be a good option, because what they're doing with a lot of the artillery systems seems to be side grades. Like, okay, you have an option between um, HE or like X and Y, and that's not necessarily bad, but I'm still not entirely sold on it. I I can understand the quantities, I can understand the extra price and all that stuff. The range, it's nice, certainly. Um, I'm not entirely sure it's going to be as useful if they're trying to cap how much impact artillery can have on the battlefield. And to be fair, if they are trying to cap the effect of artillery, I understand reducing the quantities. I'm still just not entirely sold on it. Um, so, but again, I don't understand what they're doing with the air defenses. I don't understand how they're or why they're neutering the range the way they are. I mean, I can understand some of the range changes, like reducing the high altitude range from man-pads and anti-aircraft guns. I understand that. I don't, and I also understand cutting the range values down for a lot of other systems, like for example the on the CRAM or the AIM-9. I understand that. I don't get why they're neutering. I said it before, I say it again. I do not get why they're neutering the range on HIMAD. That does not make any sense to me. I like that they're making aircraft kind of cheaper. But why are you neutering the range of HIMAD? It makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I would just leave the range of HIMAD systems alone. I mean, at least just try it out with normal HIMAD ranges. I mean, heck, maybe you could try and incorporate some. Oh no. I was gonna say that you could try and add something akin to accuracy fall off at range, maybe beyond like 75%. Like, bring the missile range back up to what it used to be, but have this added effect where if the missile travels more than 75% of that range, it loses accuracy, so you're not just sniping aircraft at very long range. I understand that, but if they're making planes cheaper and they're giving planes a lot more countermeasures, I'm not sure your air defenses are going to be able to do as much. That's what I'm getting at, and I don't know. I don't think it'll be worth it. Anyway, I've clearly lost my train of thought, or I say lost my train of thought. I can't figure out how to explain what I want to say. And I know I've said probably 15 times now that I don't understand why they've lowered the range on the HIMAD systems. I guess what I'm thinking of, or I guess what I'm wondering is just what are they trying to achieve by lowering the range of the HIMAD systems? Like, what is their goal in doing that? Because I can understand if they're trying to I can understand if they're trying to um, nerf HIMAD. I can understand them reducing the ranges if that's what they're trying to do. But they didn't say anything about nerfing HIMAD. From my understanding, what they're trying to do is reduce the effect of artillery and aircraft in combat. Okay, reducing the effect of artillery is pretty straightforward. By reducing the number of artillery systems, you're going to reduce its effect. But reducing the and reducing the effect of aircraft is also going to be kind of straightforward because they are with the new way the respawn timer works. That's going to reduce the effect, particularly of strike aircraft. Okay, so again, I understand that, but I don't know. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't understand what they're doing with HIMAD. I would like some explanation on that. I understand the damage. I understand the new anti-overkill system. I understand the reduction in range somewhat at low altitudes if you want to make things like SHORAD more important. I don't understand the range. Anyway. Well, that's pretty much it. Overall, this is interesting, and I'd be interested to try it out. That's actually a point. Go to scenarios. Okay, so what do we have? We have these. Refinery invasion. Parnu invasion. Oh, okay. Klaipeda, Baltisk. Huh. There's 2 new invasion scenarios. Were these? Okay, I might try these then. Well, I don't know. I might play some of these with new decks. But I'm still not entirely sold on the changes that they have made, as I have repeatedly said before.